Hi, this is Julie Bauer at CES with ARF. I am the president of the consumer division of Panasonic, and I also serve as the CMO of North America for Panasonic, and glad to be here.
How long have you been getting ready for this CES?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When we end CES in January, we almost start planning for the next year. So our business plans and everything that we do for product development is already kind of put in motion by the end of this conference. So, and then by July, we start detailed planning. By October, we pretty much know what we're going to be doing, and then people work on the launch all the way through January.
I'm really curious. I mean, you have such an interesting background, so I don't know which order.
I started in banking, and my undergraduate and master's was in marketing and business. And when I went to college, we had to take Pascal programming, and I hated technology. So I swore I will never go into technology. That will never be anything that I ever do. So I went to work for U.S. Bank, and I worked on the trading floor. And the traders came over to me, and they said, there's this group of IT guys sitting here. I think they want to build a investment system. Would you go handle this project, because we don't understand what they're saying? Hence started a career of basically me being in technology. And I would say the reason I succeeded in it was I was able to sort of understand what the business requirements were, the business reason we were doing something, and then work and learn enough about the technology side to bring the two together, which then I pivoted out of being a CIO into the digital field, which was just starting. And from there, digital has evolved, as you've known, in the last 10 years into all those different ways that you can reach consumers.
Not a lot of women in this room. What's a nice girl from the Midwest doing here today?
Early in my 20s, I would sit in a room. I remember we did a lot of work at the bank with IBM, and it would be me and 20 men. But you know what I've learned is people are people. I see more and more women, coming into the technology field. 50% now of the engineers coming out of schools are women. So they're getting much more into technology.
So talk a little bit about failure.
I had a mentor once who told me that if you have never failed at something, then you've never really learned anything either. And I remember we did a technology project for United Healthcare where the company wanted the nurses to do all this analysis about whether managed care actually lowered costs or improved health. We get this great Cognos technology in the hands of all these nurses only to realize that they weren't technology analysts, right?
Well, how did you handle that?
Well, we worked with getting the right people in to use the tools, and then using the nurses more, for consultative, services. But it was a good learning in terms of never overinvest in a technology or an idea if the people aren't ready. A lot of young women say to me, well, was this your purposeful career path? I never had anything really mapped up, but what I always tell people is perseverance. As a woman, you have to continue to persevere and to look for challenges in your work environment. If you feel you have more to offer, go after the tough project. Go after the one that has a high chance of failure. You just have to keep going. You have to believe enough in yourself. And at the end of the day, I do think you can win people over. And I do think mentors are important too. One of the things when I joined Panasonic was I asked the other presidents when they first joined, what did they do to kind of integrate themselves into a culture? So to do things like that to get yourself prepared, because you can be the smartest person in the world, but you can land very poorly into a culture if you don't understand it. What they say in the job interview and maybe what the culture is can be two different things.
What's the plan, or how do you see the consumer learning about how to adopt this technology?
There's a whole teaching cycle going on right now, I think, between young people and their parents.
Will they be able to keep up with the pace of change?
In the United States, we actually have, we're creating a customer design group that is designing technology that is easy to use for people. Because depending on the customer segment, some are more technically and digitally savvy than others. So if you're trying to go across a wide consumer base, I think you have to really factor that into your design factor.
What are you most proud of?
Making people understand that consumer technology and consumer needs are what is going to drive, in the end, what shows up in the B2B automobile or the B2B plane, the avionics or whatever. And as a company, Panasonic, making sure we keep that brand integrated, that the heritage of our company, it was consumer.
And here we are with this big screen, and it says live better, work smarter, go forward, do more. It's values to value instead of buy our product, right?
So we looked across all the business units, and what came out of that brand audit were these values. And what we tried to do is put it in a way that a consumer would understand.
A prediction for the future for 2016.
The actualization of the smart home. I really think that that's revolutionary.
You're clearly visionary, and you are really changing the world. So thank you so very much.
Very nice meeting you. Thank you.